oftentimes we're really wanting that person that hurt us to come back and say, I'm sorry. We want them to say, I really fucked up. Welcome to this episode of Lucid Living with Bree. I am your host, Bree Walta. And today we are going to be talking about why our minds really gravitate towards the analyzing and the trying to figure out of why my ex cheated on me, and how you can shift out of that so that you aren't just ruminating in that experience. You can actually start to heal and start to process what happened. So I want to just normalize for you our tendency to gravitate towards analyzing, to wanting to figure out why. Especially in the Western culture, we are so taught that the answer to things comes from figuring out the answer, right? From analyzing it. We're not really taught how to feel our emotions. So of course we're going to go towards what we know how to do, what we feel more comfortable doing, and we're going to spin our minds up and round around how he could have done this. Why did he do it? What did I do that led him to cheat on me? Is this my fault? Maybe I should have done this differently. Is he a narcissist, right? We're trying to gather all of this information to make this thing make sense. So we are more comfortable in the analytical, right? So we tend towards that. We also want to make meaning out of things because we're meaning making machines as humans. We make sense of our experience by having answers to why things are happening. So if we don't have a factual reason why, we will create one. So it's normal that your head is trying to go to this place of why, how, what did I do? Is he this? Is he that? When we're doing that, we're giving ourselves a false sense of control, right? If I can just understand this, then it won't hurt. If I can just understand why he cheated, let's say you do get an answer from him. Let's say you ask him why he cheated and he says, because our relationship was getting too close and I couldn't handle it. Okay. Would that answer bring you any solace? Or would you then feel angry and upset because he can't meet you where you want to be in the relationship? So we think that the answer is going to help us avoid having to feel the thing. And it's partly our brain's way of being like anesthetizing the hurt that you're in. So you want to stay in control, you want to make meaning, you want to understand. And those are all very normal tendencies that we have, especially when you're going through something likely where the rug got pulled out from under you, or it was traumatic in the sense that it was like unexpected, too fast, and really painful. Like our brain doesn't want us to be in pain, which is such a beautiful part of the brain. So we have to teach ourselves and our body that we're safe enough to be able to process these traumas and these things so that we don't hold on to them forever. Okay. So the reason why you can't stop thinking about him is because your brain wants to have control, keep you safe, and not really feel the feeling. So then the way that we actually shift out of that loop, we shift out of that hyper fixation on him and why and how, is to turn towards the feeling, which can feel really scary. And I love this metaphor of like the analytical buoy is how I think about this. So we're in the middle of a raging ocean, okay? And then this experience of just been cheated on. I'm in pain. I can't make sense of it, right? We have like a lot of turmoil. And we're out there and we're just clinging to this analytical buoy. Like, this buoy's going to save me. I'm going to hold on. I'm going to stay in the intellectual place of trying to figure out why and how. Therefore, I'm going to be okay. But it's still like crazy out there. We're safe enough because we're still above water, but it's not really helping us integrate or move that feeling or shift it. What we need to do is be able to let go of that buoy and go under the water and really be with the depth of the feelings in order to allow space for them to move. Okay. And of course, that feels scary if we don't have a tool to help us be able to do that. So, EFT tapping is the tool that I use with my clients and that I believe so deeply in. I use it on myself. This is a tool that has really changed my life because it helps you feel safe in your body while you're feeling something distressing. So for me, the visual is like EFT gives you the oxygen mask to then be able to go down and explore the depth of the feeling. And when you can explore the feeling, then you can meet yourself with compassion and love and space in the same way that you're hoping he will. When we are feeling a lot, we can, if we don't have that tool to be able to meet ourselves in the feeling, the natural tendency, the natural distraction that we turn towards is to distract, right? So we are going to fill up our social calendar. We're going to binge on Netflix. We're going to um, overwork, right? We're going to try to do more, and we're going to try to research all of the things and try to understand and listen to all the podcasts about narcissists and cheating and betrayal and try to really distract ourselves from the feeling. It's much like if you have a child who is screaming in the corner, right? She is feeling something. She's feeling, let's say, anger right now. And she's screaming and she's screaming. And you just keep turning your head away and reaching over here for all of the distraction things. You're not really getting rid of her. She's not being comforted and then calming down. She's just probably screaming louder. And your attention is then divided between whatever you're trying to numb with and this anger that really needs your attention. So if we can turn towards the anger and get curious with her and validate her, like, of course you're feeling angry. And it's so safe to feel this anger here. Like, here's a pillow, let's scream into it, right? Giving her a safe outlet of how to express the anger instead of trying to shush her away or instead of trying to pretend like she's not there. When you turn towards her, you make space for that feeling and you're moving it. You're moving it through, you're allowing it. And when you do that, you're integrating it. So we get stuck with these perpetual feelings that feel like they're almost just simmering in the background all of the time because we're just trying to pretend like they're not there. But turning towards the feeling, allowing yourself to say out loud to yourself, yeah, I'm going to allow myself to feel angry right now. And we're going to do it in a way that feels cathartic and good and safe, will help that move. And the more that you can turn towards each feeling, each time it comes, the faster and more easeful you're going to feel in integrating this betrayal. So betrayal is, it is traumatic. It is traumatic. You went through something that you likely weren't expecting from a person that you likely trusted. And there's a lot of disorientation that happens in that experience. So you turning towards yourself and showing yourself that you are worthy of your attention and your love will help this part of you that really needs you, will help her to feel safe. So oftentimes we're really wanting that person that hurt us to come back and say, I'm sorry. We want them to say, I really fucked up and you don't deserve that. You're worth more than that, right? You are good enough. This is about me. It's not about you. That's what we want to hear from that person. And most likely, you're not going to get that from that person. You're not going to get the apology or the self-awareness from them or the tending, the compassion. So how can you give that to yourself? If you're constantly waiting for that person to make you feel better, to validate that you are worth more than this. You do deserve better than this. then that leaves you in a really tricky spot because your okayness is dependent on them. So we want to be able to meet ourselves in that way of validation, in that way of, I've got you, you're safe, we can feel this, and be that person for ourselves. I know you want to be done with the pain of losing yourself in relationships with unhealthy men and instead attract and hold on to a loving man who is emotionally available and can meet you halfway to experience that I've got you and I'm not going anywhere kind of love. Click through for the Relationship Reset Guide, where you will learn how to communicate your feelings without feeling guilty, navigate triggering moments, and feel secure on your own so you can expand your capacity to hold next level love while remaining true to you. Go to briewalta.com or click through the Relationship Reset Guide in the show notes. So, the reason why you can't stop thinking about the betrayal in your ex is because we have a natural tendency to want to analyze the shit out of everything, to feel more in control so that we don't have to feel the feeling. But the real way to shift out of that is to allow yourself to feel the feelings. And these feelings are going to range because you're grieving, right? You're grieving the end of the way you knew the relationship to be, or the end of the relationship very literally. And so one day you might feel anger. One day you might feel sadness. One day you might feel like deep loneliness. So with each part of you that starts to emote, to scream in the corner, turning towards, making space, validating that of course you feel this way, and you're here to help this part of you feel it, to move it, so that you guys don't have to hold it forever. The way to do this really beautifully is with tapping. So if you're not familiar with EFT tapping, EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, and it is a somatic therapeutic tool that's so accessible to use on your own. So you are just activating different points on your face and your torso, in your body, or on your hands while you are feeling, because that activation will help to regulate your nervous system. And it will help you to become in touch with the somatic feeling in your body and feel really safe with like that overwhelming pain in your heart and the sadness that you feel, regulating your system so that you can be with that long enough for that to shift and for you to move out of the distressing emotional place into more of your calm centered place. So I love EFT tapping. A lot of my episodes on this podcast like touch on EFT and how I use it with clients. Episode 6 is called How to Set Boundaries That Work Without Feeling Guilty. And at the end of that episode, I actually go into an EFT tapping tutorial. So in that episode, we're talking a lot about how to handle the guilt that you're feeling after you set a boundary. But that tutorial in EFT applies to any distressing emotion that you're feeling and how to meet yourself in that really safe space with yourself so that you can be there, you can turn towards, you can validate, you can move that energy. When we're in flow and we don't have blocks from all of our past behavior, we're in better emotional and physical health. So EFT has roots in traditional Chinese medicine, and believing in our qi and believing in the meridians that we have that carry our energy throughout our body. So we want to get in the practice of removing the blocks and of clearing things as they come, so that we're not packing all of our trauma down into our body. Another beautiful book to read about kind of this whole body mind body connection and how we store trauma is called The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk, and I'll link to that in the show notes if you're interested. And it's a deep read. It's a heavier book. So you might like pick it up one chapter at a time. It might not be one that you can read full on because there are some really tough case studies in that book, but it shows really beautifully how they have found scientifically this, the evidence of holding emotion in our body. And when we are not allowing ourselves to move through the stress response cycle, we aren't ever coming down. Our cortisol is not coming down. We're just staying in that really heightened survival place, right? We're activated on some level and our body's like, ah, there's a bear coming. We need to fight, flight, freeze, or fawn are the four options when we're in that state. And our body's just pumping cortisol because it thinks that we're unsafe. So regulating your nervous system will bring your stress down. It'll bring your anxiety down so that A, you're in better physical health because you don't just have cortisol pumping all over your body. And B, you can access your more calm centered place more of the time, right? So it's like we go into the emotion and then we come back. We go into the emotion, then we come back. And this is the practice that you're learning in your healing. The point is to be able to feel the emotion and acknowledge it and feel it and move it, and then come back into your centered higher self, higher energy, self energy. There's a lot of names for it, but feeling like yourself, feeling like you're not consumed with anxiety or sadness or frustration or confusion or anger or whatever you're feeling. So listen to that episode. Keep this episode when when you forget, when you are like back in that rumination place, like, oh yeah, I remember Bree said something about this thing. I'm going to listen to it again. It's not abnormal. Nothing is wrong with you because you're trying to make sense of it. And I really, really, really encourage you to learn the skill of how to sit with your feelings because it will be the catalyst to your healing. You will move through this faster and with more ease if you can do that. And I've been where you are. I know exactly this rumination. This is why I do the coaching that I do, because I've been in the shit. I have been betrayed. I have had the rug pulled out from under me. I have been with somebody who presented one way and then turned out to be a completely different man. And I know the confusion and the pain and all the things that come along with that. You are so not alone in this. And there are ways that you can meet this and uncover so many beautiful things about yourself and shift your patterns and be able to use this really as a catalyst for your next evolved chapter. So I encourage you to keep going, to keep meeting yourself with curiosity. There are so many ways that you can reach out to me for support if you need a little guidance through this process. So check out the show notes for all of the ways that we can connect. And to end, I always end these episodes with choosing a spirit card. And this one that came out for you is gut. So I'm going to read this message to you and you can see how it lands and if it applies to what you are feeling. Okay. Gut brings an invitation to hop on the superhighway to your own wisdom. Gut will not and should not be ignored. You are being urged to check that you are in alignment. Gut is where all of the answers live. What messages are you receiving? Are you stuck? Are you absorbing what nourishes you? Trust yourself. Listen deeply to your intuition. Perhaps you are experiencing some discomfort in the gut. Know that this is a cue that there are certain things in your life that you are not metabolizing. When your gut rejects something, it is for your own protection. So heed the warning and don't continue to ingest the things, people, relationships, and energy that are toxic to your system. Stop tolerating things you shouldn't. Gut balancing is a mix of listening to yourself, trusting your intuition, and honoring what is right and nourishing for you. When you care for gut, it will give you a deep sense of alignment and flow. Your system allows for what is sustaining you to move through it with a sense of ease and vitality. Cards never lie, and it's always so wild how much it resonates. So I hope that leaves you with a message of hope and exactly what you needed to hear today. If this episode resonated for you, please share it with somebody else who is going through betrayal and trying to make sense of all the things. Until next time.